morning, Rob. Good morning, Rob Earhart with the County's Economic Development Group. You may have heard that we recently had one of our quarterly breakfasts. If you weren't able to attend, I brought just a few remaining books in the Economic Development Quarterly. I won't go through the entire thing, but I did want to highlight what you may have already read. That is headline unemployment for the county in December of 2013 was 6%. Last time we had unemployment rate of 6%, May of 2008. Wow. So almost 6 years. Equally, the number of unemployed is right at 15,000. If you look back at some historical numbers, that number was twice that as recently as the summer of 2010. So 15,000 is still too many unemployed, but it's a sight better than it was just 3-4 years ago. So we're encouraged, particularly with all the opportunities that are coming online or projected to come online this year. Average wage, Carol, I know you asked about this at the last EDAB. We reported that for 2012, which is the most recent year the data is available, it's up 3% over the prior year and up 24% over a 10-year period. That number for 2012 is just under $33,500. Permits, year over year, they're up both in number and in dollars. So if you look at all of 2013 compared to all of 2012, in numbers, it's an increase of 62%, and in dollars, it's that or more. So in terms of residential permits, it's a positive story. Commercial permits, it's a positive story. We also reported on a piece of information that I believe that most people weren't aware of, and that is that for major transportation projects, there are either active or planned projects that will equal over $750 million that'll take place in the Volusia County area over the next 3 to 4 years. So that's great investment in our infrastructure and will be very helpful not only to us here in the county, but to the recruitment efforts of our partners. So the only other comment I would share with you is if you're familiar with the VMA, you know that they've just recently introduced a new speaker series, a CEO speaker series. Mike Reed was their first speaker just a few weeks ago. It was a phenomenal presentation. And the next opportunity to hear that will be on March 6th. That's a Thursday night beginning at 5:30. And that's my report, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Mom.
Good morning. Denise Mott, Director of Business Development, stepping in for Keith this morning. I want to start off by letting you know about our Rolex event that we hosted. We had 7 site selectors visit with us Thursday through Sunday during the Rolex 24, and they were excellent from Jones Lang, from Cressa and Dallas, more partners, a number of nationally recognized site selection consultants. So they visited with us. They were able to tour all of Volusia County and seeing a lot of our available product, as well as meeting over at Stetson University. Dr. Libby hosted a meeting for our practitioners for interaction between the consultants and the practitioners to talk about their communities, as well as for the consultants to be able to give some information about things that they look for when they are researching best places for their companies. It was a very, very productive visit. By the time that they were done, they nearly all commented that they had never been to Daytona Beach, they had never been to Volusia County, and they have never looked at us for projects. By the time they left on Sunday, they were very impressed and had said that their perception of the area had definitely been changed. And we already have received calls to further discuss some available product, and I think that we'll be, seeing some positive results in the future from that visit. Emory has provided our activity report in the back of your packets, and I'll go over some of the projects that that have been highlighted on here because, of course, I know you're most interested in our Daytona Beach locations. When you start out in these stage 1 projects, those are really there's almost various sub-stages to stage 1. And some of those being led by Enterprise Florida. I don't have too many updates on those for you just yet, but if you move down towards the middle of the page are Canadian projects, Project Ethanol and Project ICE. We are working with those. Our other Canadian project, which is further down stage 3, we actually had a site visit again with that prospect. That prospect was also with us during the Rolex. He returned again just last week in order to look around Volusia County again and have some meetings with potential customers. He has determined that Volusia County is where he wants to set up his operation. He has right now 60,000 square foot facility in Montreal and would like to come down here starting around 20 to 30,000 square feet is his estimate at this point. It'll be based on the customers that he starts out with, but approximately 20 employees. So it's a great project, and we continue to work with him and help him to set up that customer base. Some others that I wanted to highlight that are not highlighted on your copy, but Project Motion, which is a stage 2 prospect. That's a connection that we made at ITSEC, which is a simulation trade show held in Orlando. That prospect is from Turkey. He visited with us also, I want to say last week, time's flying by, and he also had a great visit. It's important for you to know that every time that we do have a prospect visit, on average, they stay with us for 1 to 2 days, and part of that meeting involves inviting all of our practitioners to sit around the table and spend a couple of hours with the prospect discussing their areas and, highlighting what they have in their communities, as well as our, other partners, County CEO Business Alliance, Daytona State College, to discuss training, CBE, to really make the most of these visits. Project Ringtone and Alpha Stage 3 and 4. We will be going and visiting the headquarters again for Project Ringtone, which has been looking at Daytona Beach. They still have us considered to be an off-the-shelf community, is what they call it. So the next time that they have a large client for the Southeast, Daytona Beach would be the chosen location. They just have they need to have the appropriate client who is looking for a Southeast location. So we're going to go knock on their door and hopefully get that moving along. Project Alpha is led by Consolidated Tomoka, and we've provided assistance on that project. If there's any other questions about any projects, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, on Project, I guess it's Maple, is it?
Maple, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you identified how many 20 or 30,000 square foot buildings are in Volusia County right now? It's available.
We've shown him a variety of different sizes, and after he looked at everything, he said, "Well, I'm thinking that maybe around 20,000." Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact number that we have, but we do have buildings that size range, and a lot of his requirements are going to be based on product size, because he's talking with a customer who has very large pipes. And so depending on what his line looks like, he may need a much larger facility even, or if he's going to be doing his potential for going up to a 50 or 60,000. So there's kind of a number of buildings, I should say, that
there's a
he's
couple on
looked
Fentress
at. And
right now that are
there
going.
are absolutely. Fentress is a fantastic place that we tend to show a lot of buildings or a lot of prospects, that Fentress area.
Okay. And the other thing is that one successful project that is breaking ground on the 26th is Project Team,
Yes.
and that's our bank.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that we
Yeah,
announced
this
that
was
in-
considered a new project because our headquarters is in a different county, and it qualifies. We'll be having a groundbreaking on the 26th at 8:30, so any of you want to come are invited. Okay.
No, I'm just.
Oh, no, I thought I was going to write your name down. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Project Medic, it says relocation. Are they relocating within Florida or out of state?
Project Medic is a new medical device manufacturer. The executive team comes from both Florida and out west, and they are coming together to work with EB5 investors to open a manufacturing location here in Volusia. Again, they are looking at Volusia and one other Florida community, and are very interested in being here. They really enjoyed everything about the community because quality of life as well as the business community were both very important to them. And the executive team, we've been working with the president of this new company. The executive team will be coming to visit with us at a later time.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes. Where's the location for the groundbreaking?
Oh, okay, well, it's right next door to Vince Carter's
Next door to the
on LPGA. Between Vince
Got a big
Carter's.
sign on it, right?
I'm not sure if they put the sign up yet. Did they put a sign on it yet? Okay, I didn't look. They were supposed to.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to cut the grass too.
No, I don't know.
I
I
gotta
can
go
check
check
that.
I gotta go by there. I gotta go by there today.
The other thing,
Get the sheet
Denise,
out.
I know that you guys have provided us this before, but what does stage 1 mean? Stage 2, stage 3, stage 4? Can you send it
Yeah.
to me or give it to me now?
Yeah, I can let you know now. I always worry that I'm giving too much repeated information, so I'm glad you asked, though.
Oh, it doesn't hurt to repeat.
When you get over 60, Denise, you can tell me something else.
No, I'm happy to. It actually begins with stage 0, and I meant to tell you as well that actually in my stage 0 right now, which would be projects that we are still researching, leads that have come to us. We have a large list. Keith and I have a very large list that we just received of new leads sitting on our desk ready to make cold calls to. So we have kind of not listed on here, but a large stage 0 pot. Stage 1 is once we have the lead is turning into a project. We have provided a lot of community information, overall community information, covering all of Volusia County to the prospect, and the discussions are ensuing. Stage 2 is their first site visit. Stage 3 is a second or I can't say the word.
Subsequent.
Yes, thank you. Site visits. And stage 4 is once they're in negotiations, and stage 5 would be announcement. You'll notice that our total jobs potential is only counting stage 2 through 4, because those are really when the decisions are starting to be made. They're not just looking at in stage 0 and 1, they're looking at all over Volusia County, the southeast, in fact, and as you get into stage 2 and stage 3, they start looking more closely at certain communities throughout Volusia County. So it makes more sense to start counting those numbers that we feel more certain or more optimistic that we'll be able to close.
All right, well, thank you.
I have
Oh, go ahead.
one, just a short thing. Right at the very beginning of your talk, you were saying how some people who come here are surprised because of the perception. and that's something that has bothered all of us for years, is the perception of this area and how we can overcome that negative, because there seems to be a negative perception, or that we just have a beach and that's it, you know. So, I mean, have folks talked a lot about that and say, oh, well, I heard that it was this way or that way? We need to figure out a way to market ourselves better.
You know, it is, we are a beach, we are racing, you know, in the perception,
Right.
and we're fun, we're spring break, we're 1980s spring break,
So it's
you know, all of
still
those
the
things.
same-
That perception is still out there. We hear it a lot when we travel. What is perceived to be the business communities are surrounding us in the other counties, bringing them in, and that's why it's so important that we're going out and meeting in the office with the consultants and meeting in the office with the CEOs of these companies. And once you meet and you present and you get that interest, and they start to just, I mean, they literally look and go, wow,
Right.
you have industry, you all go to work, you don't just go to the
Yeah.
beach. And then you bring them here, and you can change that perception so quickly just by getting them to come here. So, I mean, that's what we continue to do.
Is there any way we can get the VMA involved, that they would see that there's a lot of manufacturing
They
around?
are yes, I'm glad you brought that up too. The VMA, we work very, very well with Jane Pfeiffer, and in fact, Project Maple, during one of his visits, we had it centered around the VMA banquet, their annual banquet. And
Yeah.
I mean, he was absolutely impressed by that. It's great to see the way our manufacturing community comes together. So definitely a great partner of ours.
He was sitting at the table behind us. There was a lot going on at that table.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may, we also hear comments similar to that relating to, well, okay, you have a business community, but you really don't have any arts, you know, humanities.
Right, which is so
focus.
wrong.
And I think this cover of this CD, or this quarter's EDQ helps to put rumors like that to rest. So,
Okay. Mrs. Keefe?
Good morning, Nancy Kiefer, President, Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce. Just so you know, on March 26th, I'm going to be at a groundbreaking for a wonderful new addition to our community, Intercoastal Bank. So just wanted to get that on the
There you go.
record.
Fantastic.
Yesterday, Keith and I had the opportunity to actually tape a half-hour show at Orlando Matters, and it was all about Daytona Beach and Volusia County. We really got to talk about all the exciting things that are happening here, and it's really neat. There was a lot of outreach to us to say kind of what you were just talking about, perceptions and everything. Now, while a lot of the focus, because it's going to come live from the track this weekend, was about everything going on because of the track, you know, in their Daytona Rising project and One Daytona. We also really had the opportunity to showcase, you know, the investment that's being made beachside, not only by new development, but by the businesses that are here, and talked about all the renovations. I think the Hotel Motel Association just released that $62 million in renovations are actually being done at the beachside hotels and motels. So I think that's really exciting. It kind of goes back to us talking about all of these new projects really being a catalyst, you know, for other businesses to grow and expand. So we're excited, and that I think the show will actually air Sunday. I'm not completely positive. I also did a 3-minute intro that will show on Friday directly from the racetrack. And again, it really was to brand and to get people really excited about what's happening here in Daytona Beach and Volusia County. Rob mentioned transportation. On March 13th, the Central Florida Regional Leadership Forum will be hosting a project called Advancing Regional Transportation. I'm not sure if you've got that on your calendar. It's kind of run by Jake Stewart. I'll actually be a panelist at the end of that program to talk about what's just been talked about as far as needs for infrastructure and what's going on and where the projects are going to be. So I think, again, you know, by having our area represented at that particular thing is very, very good for Volusia County. We have a seat at the table, and we'll be really engaged and involved in those discussions. Obviously, we are well in tune with getting prepared for Bike Week, March 7th through 16th. we've been working very hard. George has been working very hard on making sure that this year's event is very positive. We got some new additions that are going to go on, some new sponsors to showcase, and I think that all in all, things are going very well in regards to that particular event. We are ramping up for the 75th anniversary of that, so for this year and next year are really key years to really generate some interest in that event as well. On March 20th, we'll be taking a group to Tallahassee for Volusia Days. A little bit different format this year. We're taking one bus, and all of our presentations will actually be pre-formatted appointments. So we'll actually be talking to our legislators about very specific topics that are important to our business industry here. So I would ask and encourage you, if there's things that you want us to talk to any of our state legislators about, get me some information, and we'll make sure to add that to our talking points and our dialogue while we're there. I think that that's going to be a great event and an opportunity to have really formatted and professional conversation rather than just being up there and, hanging around in the halls. Not that that's a bad thing either, because it's important to go to their turf and see them on their turf. So I'm excited about the changes there. And then on June 26th, all of the chambers in Volusia County are working together on a mega mixer mini expo type program to showcase the airport. And we're going to hold it out there at the airport. We're all working together, and it'll be an opportunity for small businesses to come out, set up a tabletop display, and really showcase what we have right here in our own backyard. So it's a great group. The Alliance is working really hard to make that a premier event for this community, and thanking Rob and the airport for their assistance in allowing us to use their facility. So a lot going on, and certainly always keeping our eyes and ears out there about how we can help collaborate and be a partner with our other friends that are helping bring business and jobs to the area.
Wonderful.
Any questions? Good job. Okay, well, thank you. And that ends. Okay, well, we got a couple other reports here. Vision Foundation, no report. We got just make a discussion about a few things. Now I got to get with Carol on that. Fentress, Tim's not here, but I did have a discussion with Dave Perryman. Those who don't know who Dave Perryman is, I know you do. He owned a company called LumaShield that was in the park for about 20 years, 25 years. Sold the company. Now he owns properties in the Fentress area. And we had a nice long discussion about the signage, the frontage of the park, and how it got to be like it is now. And it's not terrible, but it's disguised. I mean, you get the 7-Eleven there, and you get the Checkers over here, and then you get this little street. And it's if you were looking at trying to find an industrial park, it's pretty well disguised. And the signage there, we decided probably hadn't been touched in 25 years because the companies on the sign are about that old. So Dave is going to help out. And as Tim was going to be here today, I was going to pass that information to him today. I'll have to get Emery to give him that information. But that's pretty much what's going on in that. There's two other issues that initiatives that we were talking about. The other one was the Walmart. We haven't started on that one yet. That Walmart at the corner of Mason and Nova. Why do we want that initiative? Because it's about 700 jobs, part-time jobs, some full-time jobs, but they're jobs, and they're stepping stone jobs. That's what I always call them. You learn how to work on time. You do certain things. You know how to take direction, and that gets you to the next step. The other is police station, and I understand the police station was going under RFP. Again, I don't know if it's been.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so we've got to follow up on that. An RFP would be for marketing the station, and I understand it has its challenges. So I want to try to set up a meeting there, perhaps maybe with you, Rob, and maybe Nancy or someone like that. Do a walkthrough and see what we have and see if we get some ideas, because the longer it sits there, the worse it starts to look. I mean, it's just that's what age is doing. It's been sitting there now empty for what, 3 years, 4 years?
I think more.
Yeah.
I think the new police station is at least 4 years old, right?
So does the city own that property then? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And if you went with all the modern site prep type of issues, it would be a non-conforming property, as it says. So we got to see how that can be all melded in there. So going to F, Eggs and Issues Breakfast was a big success. Thank you, Nancy, for helping us put that together. That was about 100 people there, specifically talking about some Daytona Beach economic issues. Most, I think, of the issues centered around downtown, but most of the interest was beachside. And from a microeconomic perspective, I think you see that you were talking about the surprise factor, people coming in the community, but the other part of that is that if we don't have those two areas downtown and the beach side in a good condition, when you take those prospects to those areas, you want them to see that we have a pride in our community. And downtown's looking good. It's starting to fill up. The beach side, there's a ton of investment going on in there. It's really starting to look together. We used to call it the sawtooth. Well, the way it was looking now, those teeth are starting to fill in, and the old property is starting to look better. So we like that. I don't know if we have any other.
Well, can we still have you describe what we were going to try to vote on today? And since we don't have a quorum, we can't. I mean, can we still get a description from Mr. Mirabal?
The representative of the client has asked that to not speak at this meeting.
Right.
So I would offer that we might push this to the next meeting. I understand there's some negotiations going on. So
when is this going to be slated to go to commission? Is there a time date?
We had planned for it to go on the 5th and the 19th, but obviously that might change now.
But we can call a special meeting for us.
Yes.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
We could do it on the morning of the 5th, which would get us in line for the night of the 5th.
All right, well, let's go ahead and set a time of a one-item meeting at 9 a.m. on the 5th. And at 8, the reason I say 9 just gives us, since we're only going to have one item, it should take us 10 or 15 minutes. It's anybody, since we can't vote on it, does anybody have any objections?
Yeah, I think that works if we can get a hold of everybody and make sure we get it set.
Okay, so 9 a.m. on the 5th. One issue, and it would be for this application. And I believe that we need to give these back to
Yes.
you. Okay. All right. That being said, anything else that we can't act on?
Well,
Recognition discussion.
Okay. Did you have something that you want to work on?
Again, we brought this up at one of the past meetings, and I want to be able to give some feedback to the manager in terms of what we think might be appropriate. Now, what I probably should do is get with Nancy. They have a business recognition program, and perhaps we can, Nancy, would you make a report on that maybe next time or this time? Or
Sure, and we actually have a new event that we're planning for a November timeframe, which is going to be a recognition ceremony for different segments of the industry. So it might be a neat segue for y'all to do something. So we'll leave that open as an option. We can talk about that.
yes.
well, I do have, since we're here, I want to talk. Moving back up to the Vision Foundation, Larry's been so busy and very involved in your stuff that I wanted to bring everybody up to date on the healthcare initiative that we have started. We are moving forward quite rapidly on that. The Volusia, it's called the Volusia Volunteers in Medicine, and it will be a facility. And again, I'll repeat because it helps to repeat. It's a facility that we're trying to get started here, that we have volunteers from the medical community, from the Halifax Hospital is on the board. The Florida Hospital is also part of it. They're giving us equipment, and so we have the medical community here really involved in this. What it is if we can find a building, which we have now located, and Paul McKittrick has been kind enough to help us out with going through with trying to get some of the legal aspects of it worked out. We found a facility over on Clyde Morris, so we're still working on that. And it's basically volunteers in medicine. You have to be between the ages of 9 and 64 or 5 to be able to apply to go into this. It's not a free, it is a free clinic, but it's not a walk-in. You have to apply for it. You have to be a working, it's basically for the working uninsured. And this community needs it so badly. We figured about 30,000 people who fall in that crack of not having health insurance. And so it will ultimately take off a lot of responsibilities from the emergency rooms, from doctors that have to charge, that, you know. So we have a long list of criteria in order for it to you know, be able to use the facility. And so we're going forward. Cobb Cole is doing all of the legal work for us, you know, gratis. And so I just wanted y'all to know that we're all of a sudden, it's starting to really take off.
Yeah, this was brought up, it's almost been 2 years ago,
Yeah,
or maybe 2.5 years ago.
we've been working on this about 2.5 years.
And it's not I don't want to really call it a clinic, it's a medical facility, okay? Because you have to make an appointment, you have to be qualified under certain standards. One, you have to have some type of proof of residency, and the other is that you have to have a job. And I think that even with the Affordable Care Act, we are finding that a lot of companies have been cutting back hours and putting people in part-time situations that were in full-time, a lot in retail and some other
In the service
jobs,
industry here in our
industry.
community, yeah.
And we're finding actually more people are in that bucket, okay? And their first line of defense is to go to the emergency room, okay? And it's not that we're trying to save Halifax Health the cost, or the county the cost of the emergency room. It's that there's a better way of doing this. And the pro bono care that the doctors give is covered under sovereign immunity, so they cannot be sued for giving the care, which is good, because, you know, that's the first thing the doctor says. Well, what if I treat them and they sue me? Well, it comes under the Sovereign Immunity Act, and so all these pieces fit. Jacksonville has a very successful program. Palm Bay has a very successful program. There was one other one we went to visit.
Yeah, there's several of them. Actually, there are 95 facilities around the country.
Yeah.
So we're following the same template, so that we're not just dreaming this up. You know, there are certain things to follow through to make this a success. And our biggest problem was to find a facility.
Right.
And it looks like we may have found a facility, but we're also going to have to do some fundraising now in order to fix the facility, to bring it up to code and all that stuff. So we're still...
Yeah, and it's in the medical area, so that...
Yeah, it's still a work in progress, but I
so-
wanted to let you all know that
Right.
it's starting to really take on a pretty positive light. So thanks for listening.
Yep, thank you. Okay, if we don't have any other business, apologize for not wasting, but, you know, I never like to have a meeting without a quorum, so we will try to fix that for next time. Until March 5th. March 5th, we'll...
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Please stress that we have to have the quorum, okay?
Rob, you wanted?
Mr. Chair, I may be outside my swim lane here. If I am fancy, I apologize, but there's a grand opening this evening at International Tile and Stone.
Oh, yeah, amazing.
Right. I do a lot of work for them.
Congressman DeSantis is the guest speaker, so it's not every day we get our U.S. Congressman to visit
Right.
businesses.
Is that the one on Mason?
Beautiful building.
Mason and Bill France, which, in my opinion, is the other reason to mention it. You were talking about the Fentress initiative.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If owner there has been able to do in terms of the appearance of that property. When you drive by it now, you know that there's a phenomenal business right there at the corner.
And it doesn't take much, weeding out, cutting out trees, doing stuff that, just maintenance, and they've done a lot of, they've done a nice signage. They have good signage there. So all those types of things make the building look so much nicer, and that's what I was talking to, Dave about, Dave Perriman, is that area needs to show its pride and ownership and really, that's, if the area is going to come back as one of the premier industrial and commercial sites, you just have to have that little bit of wow factor.
Yeah, just one more question. They moved out of their Fentress building, to move over to the Mason new one. Do you know what's going on with the place they're moved out of?
I know.
Because that's a fairly large facility that they were occupying there,
Yeah.
and that's on Fentress. So
What time is their grand
But
opening?
I know we have some phenomenal commercial realtors that'll make sure that
Right,
space gets
absolutely.
its appropriate. It's from 5 to 7:30.
great. Okay,
that's-
thank you.
1806 Mason, that's this evening.
That's
This
today.
evening. Yeah, I can't make it.
All right. It's a beautiful building. They've really done a
All right, well,
nice
somebody
job.
would go and represent us, I would appreciate it. Okay,
I'll try to go.
all right. No other business? We're
All
adjourned.
right. Thanks, everybody.